Hello, everybody. My name is Jeff Nichols. I'm Vice President of Professional Services with Domain Systems. I want to welcome you to this joint video with Propel Solutions and Domain Systems. With me on this video will be Chuck Sarin, who has spent a lot of time in the MedTech world. I will let him introduce himself. In fact, Chuck, why don't you do that now?
Yeah, hi everybody. Chuck Sarin, VP of Industry Marketing for MedTech and Life Sciences. I've been at Propel a few years now. Fortunately, I get to work with customers, prospects, even a little bit on the roadmap with development. So I really love it. Worked at Stryker for about 10 years prior, deploying multiple PLM, QMS systems there, both Agile and Windchill, and actually worked for Agile and Oracle for about 8 years, and even PTC prior to that. So really been around the PLM, QMS, and MedDev space for quite a while. Thank you, Jeff.
Great, thanks, Chuck. Yeah, we're really excited for this opportunity to have a dialogue with Chuck. At the end of this session, Lance Connard will be providing us with a brief demonstration to highlight and articulate some of the things that we talk about as MedTech companies think about a product lifecycle management and a software and solution to satisfy their needs. So let's jump into it. So Chuck, you come from the industry, the MedTech industry.
Mm-hmm.
What are MedTech companies experiencing that make them search for a PLM solution, and how does being on the Salesforce platform differentiate between or extending PLM to the next level?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we talked a little bit about PLM and even the concept of PVM, product value management, which I'll kind of lean into a little bit here. Propel obviously offers quality management, QMS, PLM, PIM, and I'll talk a little bit about this product value management piece as well. But what we're seeing customers experiencing, that was kind of the question, is really a lot of pain in connecting product, quality, and commercialization teams. So a lot of these companies are working with really disconnected and siloed systems and processes. Oftentimes there are point solutions, right, where they've got like a manual quality system or a very rigid EQMS system that sort of fell short, or an outdated PLM system. So they really see this need to extend quality and product and connect them. A lot of times they're increasing their outsourcing or suppliers, and they need to really get control of their BOMs. Again, looking for PLM as one of these solutions to add on. So quality is also commonly, as we know, kind of a silo. Sometimes it's kind of compliance in a box. A lot of times these engineering teams are lacking the ability to share product information downstream to commercial teams, and have really limited visibility to quality oftentimes too, and post-market issues. So what we're really seeing is, in a bigger picture here, is there's these huge value gaps out there, right? That are happening across the enterprise and across their customers, partners, and suppliers. And this really kind of creates like data blind spots, inefficiencies, lost market share, increased warranty costs. And I think that one of the things that we talk about Propel is we really help bridge these gaps, right? We allow these teams to communicate all on the same platform. And I think that's important. Propel really takes sort of a whole product approach where we have this single source of truth of data. So it's quality, it's product, it's compliance data. And we manage that throughout the entire product lifecycle, right? Concept to customer. I think another element of that is that allowing teams to work together and seamlessly is important, so that these teams can work earlier in the new product development process together, so they can design for regulatory, you can design for quality, design for manufacturing. And you need a tool or system that can allow these teams to work together, to work also not only earlier in the new product development process, but also in parallel. So you can coordinate launches, you can work towards the same commercialization and kind of go-to-market plans. So that's kind of where we talk about Propel's cloud product value management solution. It's a little bit more encompassing here, where we can improve product development cycle times while we can compress these sort of launch and commercialization efforts. I think just to give a couple quick examples, maybe to dive a little deeper into the PLM question that you had, is that when you combine product and quality, it really magnifies that value, right? So the quality teams being able to look at product helps them to assess root causes quicker. It allows them to say, okay, well, what are the, how do we investigate? Is it just the device, or is it actually the BOM, the subassembly, a certain component or AML, which leads you to, understanding more about your supplier. So we can better ID those root causes of where is that product used across, where is it used across different products? Where is it sourced? Where is it shipped? And having all of this information at hand really helps you reduce escape quality issues, lower your cost of quality, less scrap, less rework, less redesign. And I think from the flip side, from a product side, being able to have a visibility of quality issues really helps you to not let past quality issues make its way into next generation or new products. When I was at Stryker, allowing the SQE, supplier quality engineers and R&D, the ability to see quality events on their products and components that they were responsible for reduce their time to look at next gen products and new products from 4 weeks down to 4 days to do all of that research, which was quite a big improvement. And that was quoted multiple times by those teams of just having that visibility. And then, lastly, product and commercial teams, extends a little beyond the PLM question, but it gets more into the product information that you want to pass and share downstream to your marketing folks, your commercialization team, so that they can go to market faster, getting the right specs, the right measurements, standards, certifications, digital assets, or even costs. And that can make that way into marketing collateral or labeling or IFUs or promotional materials, even claims. So I think having this visibility is really what we talk about, of extending that concept of QMS, PLM into product value management. I think, Jeff, you also asked a question a little bit about the Salesforce platform differentiating.
Yeah.
So I know I'm going a little long on this, but I think it's good to set the base here. But differentiating, PVM, PLM, I think I kind of did that a bit. But what I think we've learned is that PLM sort of fell short of its promise of getting beyond just the back office over all these decades of great PLM systems, but they never really made it further. And I think product value management really gets it out to the front office as well, to the commercialization teams, and also most importantly to the customer. And I think having these links to the customer to capture the voice of the customer, to have these closed loop processes that get back to the customer, is really something important to have in a product. And I think having the Salesforce platform, we could talk a little bit later if we have time about the technology aspects, but there's the business aspects of it too that creates use cases that were not possible before. Same platform, tying together the same data seamlessly, such as another example might be customer service folks that are pulling in issues from the field and being able to automatically propagate that into a complaint for determining investigation and reportability, or managing your field service assets, or we talked a little about marketing, sales information, and claims. So again, I think there's just so much potential there, and it's something that we're really excited about.
Great, thanks. That's very good. I once had a customer where they were evaluating whether or not to have quality be part of their PLM system, and this vice president basically said I had to make a choice of either having a lot of quality documentation, which is great and good, or have that documentation related to the actual product itself, being able to build quality into the system for those second, third generations. So no, absolutely. Thank you, Chuck.
Yes.
On that, are you seeing interest in Propel from MedTech manufacturers that are running legacy on-premise or cloud PLM solutions?
Yeah, I think it's a huge movement. We get a lot of prospects that are wanting to transition from these legacy on-premise. It's cost reduction measures, consolidating legacy solutions. We see so many on-prem, multiple disparate solutions out there. We see companies that are hosted but want to move to a true cloud system. I think the other flavors are, people just feel like they're laggards and they're getting left behind. And so you see these initiatives to modernize systems. So it's both from a cost, risk, and future proofing perspectives, I might call it. I also here there's a lot of younger generation or other customers that have moved across and worked with many QMS PLM systems in the past, and they're looking to be on more modern platforms, cloud solutions. So it's also part of your own internal customers and employees that are demanding this as well. But I think that leads to kind of the whole, I don't want to overplay the move to cloud initiative, but we've seen that in the last few years accelerate extensively with people having to work remotely. We're seeing a lot more remote audits, whether it's suppliers or with agencies. There's just a much greater demand for collaboration in the cloud and collaboration remotely. They're shifting supply chains that are, I think, demanding a lot more reason to move to cloud solutions, because you need to decrease your risk. You need to work with a greater number of partners as you start to try to de-risk your supply chain by what, when I was at Stryker, there was typically, you'd single source a lot of things, right? And you'd make these great partnerships, but you have to be careful about all your eggs in one basket, especially today when you hit these, shortages or, price jacking up really high. I've heard from some of our other customers that deal a lot with electronics. So you really have to de-risk your supply chain and have them even closer to you than ever before. So I kind of, lump that into the move to the cloud in a bit of a way. But I also think having really secure IP is another important aspect. As we do shift around the world, how we outsource things, as we have people working remotely from, whether it's other states or countries, you have to have a very secure platform. And I could talk later about technology, but being on some of the most secure cloud platforms is critically important these days, right? And when we say secure IP, it's also how do you transfer that information from like a design transfer standpoint to your suppliers. And I'll talk a little bit more about sharing and getting into that if we want to later on. But the other piece I mentioned, I'll finish with, is just kind of the platform consolidation. So I've been hearing this more and more actually about initiatives to try to get onto one common platform, both product quality commercialization, just like what we've been talking about. And I also think this leads to less IT overhead. By being on a common platform, you can leverage resources across, customer, educated people that can use the same technology to connect over to your product and leverage these types of, in our case, Salesforce admins to help you do that. You don't have to have Salesforce to have Propel, but it does create a lot of use cases that we mentioned if you do. I would say also easier to deploy, having being on a great platform, easier to maintain, lots more improvements because you're on a much more scalable and flexible architectural system that can move fast. And then lastly, upgrading, right? So being on this type of platform can vastly help you upgrade so much faster as well.
Great. No, thank you. Thank you. Now, I know that in conversations with a lot of our MedTech customers, one of the concerns about, moving to a cloud type solution is FDA validation requirements. How does Propel address and help to mitigate some of that?
Yeah, I agree. We hear validation is always a question. We talk a lot about the product, and it always ends with how do we get validated quicker? And I think that's the long pull in a lot of implementations, validation, because of the amount of testing. Some companies have, I think Propel, just to mention, is a great out of the box solution with great, quality events, great, change control, all that. But there's a lot of customers that do want to configure to their own business processes. So you need a tool that's flexible to do both. And oftentimes that dictates how much validation you need to do, right? How unique is it to yours? And I think that's a point where I make that, about half of our customers are regulated and MedTech, and they're always looking for this about how can we get both best practices and how can we also grow in the future for our business, and how do you adapt to our business processes. So we do offer a validation accelerator package, and that really helps our customers get a nice head start towards validation. So, to kind of break that down a little bit, we provide fully executed OQ. So we do a tremendous amount of work on our end to make sure that you're covered for all of the, a lot of the functional capabilities of our product. We give an IQ framework, so it's really easy for you just to, check a few things unique to your environment and have your IQ done. And then we also provide PQ templates to help you get started on a lot of those out of the box processes. And then the customers can sort of cater that to their own needs and finish up their validation there. We also have a lot of templates, like documentation templates as well, for like Part 11, GXP, risk assessment. Again, things to help you get validated really quickly with some great templates that are already sort of, started for you. Because it's important to get compliant, but it's also important to stay compliant. So I think I mentioned a moment ago about upgrades. And, we are seeing our customers upgrade faster and faster and faster. We actually do 3 releases a year. So what we're doing is we're seeing customers, moving towards once a year, possibly even faster. And we're doing a lot on our end too, to continue to make the upgrade path easier for our customers. So having those multiple releases a year really gives customers options. And one thing unique about us too is we don't make our customers upgrade at every release, right? With our MedTech and regulated customers, they can actually pull. So we're just making and working together to look to upgrade, much faster, and realize, with every release, we're creating a lot of innovations. We have release seminars on that. Got a lot of webinars that you have access to, but just the amount of innovation that comes from Propel is amazing. So we want our customers, and our customers do want to take advantage of that.
Great. No, appreciate that. Those packs really help people get on a very accelerated path. I've seen that in the past.
Mm-hmm.
What about reporting, right? I mean, MedTech companies and manufacturers have to do a lot of reporting. What is in Propel to support that reporting capability?
Yeah, so we have actually really tremendous dashboards and reporting capabilities. I can't wait for Lance to show the demo here, because it's really awesome. And it's awesome in the sense that it's really easy to use, very Excel-like, very controlled access to decide who can see which ones. And if you dig down, there's formulas and thresholds, and we can do cross-object searches, like for a given case by supplier, by product line. You can just really stitch these together so nicely. I kind of feel like we're standing on the shoulders of giants too, in some ways, because we've got Salesforce doing $1 billion of R&D improvements a year. So when we look at the analytics, the reporting capabilities, the ease of use of reporting, it is really unprecedented, and our customers just love it. You can make their own dashboards so fast. One of our customers, Imperative Care, talked about, we all know how important management reviews are, and MedTech especially, and they were able to go from preparing and taking time for 5 days to generate these reports down to 5 minutes. And that's a quote from them, because of just that ease of use of pulling it in and making a nice dashboards and reports for that. We also see a lot of reporting in our training, who needs to train, supplier scorecarding, how are suppliers doing against given products, a lot of risk levels of knowing where we are. I think there's 2 other sort of unique to MedTech reporting that I might mention too, is, I think of EIFU, Electronic Instructions for Use, as another method of reporting, because we actually provide that in a portal capability where the source of truth, the revision controls, the matrix of region, country, language is all controlled within Propel and by the user to the revision. And then we actually have a portal which pushes it out, so that the customer or anyone in the world, theoretically, and does today, you can go to Cantel and see that one of the sites there, but they can actually walk through a sequence of selections and get a full report of the actual IFU to the exact revision of what they want. So that's kind of reporting. I think another reporting I'll stretch to is reportability. And when we talked a little bit about case to complaint, getting the issues from the customer, putting that into complaint, investigating it. One of the things that we offer as well is the ability to determine reportability notably for adverse events reporting. And it leads to a report because after you investigate, you determine what countries are affected, what agencies you want to report to, which decision trees. We have some customers doing over a dozen decision trees, all automated in the system, where they can make those selections. And upon selecting the FDA's decision tree, it will automatically kick off an electronic MedWatch 3500A form, all electronic, all managed by Propel, that the user can fill out. And when they're done, they push a button, sends an e-submission to the FDA, full acknowledgement 1, 2, 3 back with audit history, and it tracks that entire correlation ID or transaction set for the user. So it is a report. I extended about how it gets created, but I still consider that part of reporting too.
No, that's great. Fantastic. So in the first question, we spoke very, very broadly, and we've talked a lot about managing the full product life cycle of things. Let's dig into the interconnectivity of functional areas for Propel, how those different functional areas are tied together, and maybe how they work all together inside the Propel solution.
Okay. Yeah, that's there's a lot of areas we can talk about. Propel, sort of emphasize again, takes that whole product approach, quality, product, commercialization, everything really. And it takes that source of truth. And that source of truth really starts to emanate through like your bill of materials, your AML. These are differentiators in our product, right? Managing the DHF, the DMR, and how does that information get shared? So I think that's all really important. When we talk about a bill of materials, it's a very complex structure, but I think one of the things, and Lance will be showing it later, actually, I don't want to spend too much time on it, is just our revision capability. We manage each revision, so it makes it really easy to do compares. It's not a report. It's actually a true red line, green line of the exact situation that you pick. We make it really easy to navigate the BOM. And I'm sure he'll show you some of the BOM navigator stuff to keep you in context at all times, to go do your investigations through the BOM, where used, what's the AML that you need to associated with it. And then I think another part of that, I emphasize the AML a lot because I think that really exemplifies some other capabilities in the product of understanding down to the component level within your BOM, who your supplier is. How do you share that information? So we can share with our suppliers securely at any level. And that really takes that whole IP thing off the table. It helps your suppliers to not only be able to share information, but also being able to delegate some of that information to them. We have some capability with Silicon Expert to really manage the risks, the compliance, the availability, environmental compliance like ROS and REACH. Understanding the cost of those components and being able to track those costs over time. So there's a lot of control and levels when we think about the BOM, down the subassemblies, down the components of the AML. And then more functionality, again, spinning back to MedTech, that's most of our audience here is, thinking about the DHF. So we help customers to structure and manage and organize that DHF really well. We can actually structure it in a very convenient way so that it's able to take snapshots over time. What did that DHF look at a certain time? How do we organize all of the DHF documents that go into it? How do we reuse documents across other DHFs? Those are all things that are really easily possible in our system. And then that leads to kind of the DMR. We talked about the BOM, but also the DMR and how to structure that with the labeling, the packaging, all of the other elements, procedures, manufacturing assembly procedures, and how do we manage that DMR really, really conveniently? So I think that just leads to that conversation again about product quality and how we can really manage that extremely well and tie these together. I don't know, Jeff, you had any examples that kind of extend that as well?
Which ties into this next question. Where the objective of PLM is connecting users across the value chain. Propel being a cloud-based solution, it makes it easier for the extension, those partners, right? More and more companies are going out to partners and suppliers to get business done. It makes it easier and your partner is now on the same page because you're not sending files back and forth. They're actually interacting with the business activity of developing products with you. And
Mhm.
so, that is a form of, bringing people together and interconnecting functional areas that Propel can offer. So, well, due to time, if we can, let's move
Yeah.
on to the next question relative to quality requirements for MedTech companies. Um, Helping QA managers keep their eye on the ball in terms of critical metrics. How does Propel help with that? I know we talked about reports and things like that, but what else does Propel offer in helping those quality assurance managers?
Yeah, I like the idea of keeping the eye on the ball here. So there's some very time and time again, we hear about, quality managers, quality folks. What are they most concerned with? And it's obviously being audit ready. So, we of course have capabilities around internal, external supplier audits, being able to track your audits, but it also, what are the things that you're trying to control and take care of? And I think training is a really big one. So having capability around training plans, training assignments to individuals or groups, being able to do quizzes so that you can show that they actually, comprehended it and read it and understood it. These are all important things, and having a dashboard to show you who is left to train, who didn't train. But also within that is how you assign it. So having classroom structures or instructor-led training, or how do you delegate things? Those are all very important pieces within training records that I think are important. Also automating it so that it's really tied to your procedures and your documentation, so that when you rev a certain document, is it a document that needs to be trained, and does that actually automatically kick off your training so that it's seamlessly tied to your documentation, your procedures, your work instructions, etc., and ensuring the right people get trained at the right time. And I think there's a lot to that I can't tell you how many times I hear the pain of what customers go through on this in either Excel or inferior systems. So that's a big one. I talked about management review, again, having the right tools to pull together suppliers, complaints, training, all those reports we talked about earlier, and how do we pull those together to get all of that information. Um, I'd also say supplier management. We didn't really touch on it a lot. I started to allude to the fact of being able to share the right information down to the right level and delegate it. But there's also the idea of bringing your suppliers and onboarding them, qualifying them, and having the right tools to do onboarding, to monitor them, and also to get to the point of where you need to evaluate or reevaluate them. So again, having all this information at hand about what is the AML, what parts are they approved for, how well are they doing, how many quality issues associated with that. And then we could decide that, these guys need to be reevaluated on a periodic frequency, or based on, how well they're performing. So, we have supplier evaluation capabilities that I think are really important as well. Scorecarding those suppliers and kind of understanding, how are they fitting, how do they sit? And, I mentioned just CAPAs, again, just out of the box CAPA process to understand, how do we pass this down? How do we understand what's the root cause? What are the affected items, and pass it down to engineering so they can do ECOs and have that full closed loop fix. Okay.
Very, very nice. So, for our listeners, I don't know whether or not you know that Chuck has a podcast on quality and MedTech. Chuck, is there something in particular, is there something, a particular story that
Yeah.
stands out that ties into what we're talking about here?
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of some of the conversations I've had here at the podcast. I'm glad you brought that up. One of the I'll mention a couple stories briefly, in a couple excerpts. Diality's company does portable hemodialysis solution, and they actually have like over 80%. It was even 90% when I was talking to them, usage and adoption rate across the entire company that uses Propel. And I think that just extends to the ease of use of the product, how we talked about PVM, the product value management, how it really crosses all of the cross-functional users. And I even remember him saying how engineers were able to get much closer to quality, which, we've already talked about earlier. I think that was important. They were able to really create their own workflows and extend it to purchase recs and other things because of our low code, no code capability to do that. I think another one that comes to mind is, we really have a couple of the top sterilization companies. So these are big med dev capital equipment devices, and being able to do that complaints, getting the case to the complaints, to the adverse event reporting really reduced a lot of errors in time. And these customers that are using our tools are getting like 30% faster issue to resolution times. And we have customers extending the product like Fractal, being able to do some great lot history record capability and traceability to the revisions of the device. I think the only one other mention, Tom's, they're a contract manufacturer, using the product great and looking to extend and grow so that they can take on more of that CDMO or that contract design element of it, and being able to, take more control of the designs process, the DHF, and really advising their customers on some of these products. So it's interesting to see companies growing within themselves and pivoting and changing their business models and having a tool that can grow with these types of pivots.
Oh, great. What are great stories. Thanks. It's been, not quite a year that Domain has partnered with Propel. We're excited about this new partnership and looking forward to working more and more on joint implementations where Domain can bring a very deep domain from a knowledge base and topic perspective, a deep domain understanding and helping customers figure out solutions to problems that they experience, and having Propel be that technology that they sit on in order to help them do those or solve those problems in a very quick fashion. The other thing is that we're really excited because Propel is an agile-esque. I'll use that term in two fashions. One, it's the closest agile-like for all those existing agile users, but it's also very nimble, very quick, and you've alluded to many times the expediency of adoption rate. And so we're really excited to be working with Propel in those pursuits and implementing Propel at a lot of those companies, particularly MedTech, but it doesn't need to be MedTech. It can be any kind of industry. So we're excited about that. Are there any thoughts that you want to bring up relative to this Propel Domain Systems partnership?
Yeah, briefly. I've worked with you guys in the past, again, coming from Agile Oracle in the past. So I really look forward to working with you guys again in the future. You've been a great partner and you got a lot of great domain, as you mentioned, experience and best practices. So I think combining those with our Propel team is going to be awesome. The only other thing that kind of makes me laugh a little is when you talk about the Agile-esque. I mean, the head of product at Agile, Ray Hine, was our founder. And so he brought a lot of his learnings from that and from working in several other enterprise systems. And I think he looked to how can we improve and open up to this, PVM opportunities and really improve some of the product, like we talked about the revisioning and some of the capabilities that Lance will show. So that's great. Thank you.
Great. Yeah. All right. Second to last question. I know a lot of MedTech companies are concerned that when they move off their existing legacy system, what happens to their historical content? Yeah,
great question. I'm going to lean on again the fact that we've got some great professional services folks that come from a variety of businesses and enterprise systems. So getting this data in is awesome in Propel. It was, again, architected the way it should be, about being able to easily import it in. But I'll add the fact that if you think architecturally how it was built, when you talk about historical content, it's since we track every revision, we can actually import data better than our own competitors can import their own data, because we do have this tremendous control at the individual revision level and can structure the BOMs, the AML off of all of that, and just great import tools to bring things in to the system. And I could go deeper on this, but one of our customers just the previous month here actually went live in 3 weeks. It was a med device, cyber or robotic dental company. So it just shows how quickly things can happen, and how easily you can migrate data when we need to.
Great. No, thanks. Appreciate that. Then the last question before we turn time over to Lance is, fears of going to the cloud, right? You've touched on security, you've touched on all that kind of stuff, and the ability to upgrade, for lack of better words, in a rapid fashion.
Yeah.
You want to speak any more on that anybody who has fears of going to the cloud and the benefits of cloud technology?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're at an age now where I think that's behind most people, but the fear, meaning that, security, being on the most secure cloud technology platform in the world is a wonderful comfort. So there shouldn't be any fear in that. The speed of cloud, the accessibility of cloud, we talked about it, all these benefits, the ease of use, those are behind us, and those are there where we stand on that foundation. Now, again, you don't have to have Salesforce to buy Propel, right, and use Propel. It's just, again, we're natively built on that platform from day one. So we get the value out of a lot of that. So I won't go too deep on that. But I also want to emphasize again just the flexibility you have by being on the cloud to take advantage of the innovations, to grow with your business needs, to work with partners, and an almost unlimited supply of partners that can help you in the future, whether it's consulting or whether it's through the app exchange, which has thousands of apps out there, so you can be on the same native database to accomplish things. I might mention companies like NetSuite is a partner of ours. We have a very strategic partnership with them, and being able to get data from obviously PLM and releasing it to ERP is very important. So rest assured, we have a tremendous partner exchange and partner levels there. So a lot of value.
Great. Well, thanks, Chuck. What we'd like to do is turn the time over to Lance. So Lance, we'll go ahead and turn it over to you for a demonstration of what Propel looks like, and take us through it.
Perfect. Thank you, Jeff and Chuck. And so the plan here is to give you a high-level overview of Propel's capabilities. We're going to walk through this one slide to position what we're going to see. So in this situation, we have a MedTech device that's in the system that's gone through several revisions and is actually out in the field, and has a number of quality events that have been logged against it. And you'll see here that the culprit of a number of these quality events is a faulty nozzle. In this case, it's this red nozzle you see here from Danco. And not only does it have a lot of quality issues, but it's a single source component. So supply chain is also popping up, and the costs are rising on this component. And so as you'll see as we walk through this, we've gone ahead and found a suitable replacement that's a reliable part that is multi-source, that can be purchased directly from the manufacturer or from distributors, and the costs are stable. It's actually available at a much lower cost. So we're going to look at a high level at these capabilities. So we're going to look at some dashboards that are in the system. So you see some of the excellent analytics capabilities that Propel provides. We're going to look at searching, so you get a feel for how easy it is to find information and to share those searches with other members of your organization. We're going to touch on training, which is an important part of the solution. So you can get a feel for what it takes to review and sign off on a document that's changed. We're going to spend a lot of time looking at a MedTech device. So we'll look at the device master record and all of the different items that compose that structure. We'll touch on how we manage electronic instructions for use, as Chuck mentioned, and how those are usually managed in different languages, and how those can then be published out to a site for customers to have access to. We'll touch upon our complete revision control and how we can dynamically see how things have changed over time. Um, and then we're also going to focus on, how this quality that's come in is connected directly to the product, not only at the product level, but all the way down to the component level, so we can make better decisions for how to address those issues. We'll show how we can capture and draft the changes in order to fix those issues. And then we'll touch on how we can review and approve those changes. And so here I'm logged in as kind of a super user. Propel it's a role-based solution. So in a minute here, we're gonna change views, but right now you'll see I basically have access to everything. So across the top, you'll see I have a home page. I have access to reports. These are parts and documents, manufacturer parts, changes, quality, project and activities, compliance information, and here is where I can even configure the system, right? And then if we look here on the home tab, you'll see I have access to a bunch of dashboards, and this happens to be my default dashboard, this part and document tracker. And so here we can see we have 342 parts in the system. 24 of those have quality processes logged against them. 17 of those are on changes. These are all the different categories of parts that are in the system, and these are all live. So if I hover over this, I can see I have 27 assemblies that are in production, and I have 4 that are currently being reviewed to be released. And you'll see I have the same information for documents over on the right-hand side. And then if I were to scroll down, here's where we're actually tracking engineering change orders and document change orders that are moving through their workflows and how long they're sitting in states. And so you can see that, there's an ECO that's been waiting for my approval for 63 days. There's another one that's been waiting for my approval for 1 day. So this is a great example of a dashboard that you'll see, we can have dashboards for tracking quality processes. So these are showing me quality processes against our different products. So the Phoenix 3000 has 7 open complaints and it has 4 non-conformances. Down here, I can see non-conformances by suppliers, or I can see complaints by customers. Once again, I can hover over this, and Banner Clinic, one of our top customers, has 6 open complaints. And then if we click on this dashboard, another one of our core strengths is managing suppliers and vendors. And so in this case, we see all the approved vendors that are in the system. They've been given a risk score. And so over on the left-hand side, we can see we have 4 high-risk suppliers, 8 medium, and 24 low-risk suppliers. So we probably want to work on these 4 to bring them in line. Over on the right-hand side, we can see, we're in the process of onboarding 3 new suppliers. And if we were to scroll down, we've got some audits against these high-risk suppliers to try and understand how we can bring them back in line. Any dashboard we can click on and drill directly into. So in this case, I clicked on the high-risk suppliers, and I want to go look at one in particular, Danco. And so now looking at Danco here, we have all the information about what kind of supplier are they, how do we contact them? Are they approved? Yes, they're approved. They already went through the onboarding process. And we can see the last time we audited them was a few years ago. We also have, supply scorecarding capabilities. So this supplier is trending in the wrong direction is probably why they're a high-risk supplier. So we can see they're missing their deliveries of components to us. They have a bunch of open quality processes. Across the top, we actually have access to all the parts that we use from the supplier. And so this is one we're going to focus on, this nozzle. This is the one that has all the open quality issues that's linked to our MedTech device. We also can see all the quality processes linked to the supplier. So we have all the non-conformances that Danco is responsible for. We have the audit that's currently in flight, and we have a corrective action to address these non-conformances. These are all live. I could click on these and go to them if I wanted to. We're gonna get there in a bit. So if I click on the home tab, it takes me right back to my home page that we started with. If we click across the top here, this is where we can actually do work. So if I want to look at parts or documents, I can click this down arrow, and here I can see the last 5 items I looked at. These are the last 5 searches that I ran against parts or documents, or I can actually drill down. And so these are showing me all of the items that are used in another one of our products. If I want to switch to the Phoenix 3000, which is what this demo is focusing on, I can type ahead and you'll see it's showing me I have 2 saved searches. One to show me all of the DHF documents, another to show me all of the items that go into this product, right? So searching is excellent in the solution. And the way searches can be shared is also one of our core strengths. So if I look at this search, in many systems, you create a search and you're the only one that can have access to it, or you can share it with everyone. In this case, this has been shared with a group, and I could actually share this with any other team that I wanted to if I had the right capabilities. So I could share this with the electrical engineers or the manufacturing engineers. It's very granular in the approach as well. And I have the same capabilities for any one of these types of objects. So for changes, I can click on this and I can see in this case, all the different types of changes that have been written against this product. So we have 10 document change orders, 8 engineering change orders, 1 manufacturing change order. And once again, if I wanted to look for anything in particular, like all the deviations in the system, I can click on this and see all the different manufacturing deviations. And so now we mentioned this is role-based, right? And so over on the left-hand side, I have a navigator that, in this case allows me to dynamically pick kind of a view. But, if I were a user and all I had to do was respond to training assignments, when I log in, it would take me directly to this. And you'll see I no longer have access to dynamically move around in the system. All I have is this dashboard that are showing me the 5 training assignments that I need to complete. And they're tracked by due dates. So I'm getting emails, reminding me that I need to do this. And in this case, let's take a look at this first training assignment for a work instruction. And this is very flexible as well, but for this training assignment, I have to complete 3 tasks. First, I have to view the work instruction, then I have to take a quiz, and then when I'm done, I can sign off on this and complete my assignment. And so there's no reason to navigate to this document and then to an attachments tab to try and look at it. Propel feeds me exactly the document I need to see and review. And so now I've done the first task. I've looked at the work instruction. The next part of the training is to complete a 2-question quiz. So I can start the quiz. Here's the first question. Did you download and read it? Yes. And the second question, what product line is this associated with? And if I get this right, then I can go ahead and sign off on this, right, and complete my training assignment. And so now let's go back to this product engineering application. So this is going to look very similar to the first application I was in, but it still has a bit fewer options across the top, of a bit fewer dashboard or on my home tab. So the next thing we want to do is look at this product on a page here, right? And so the Phoenix 3000 we mentioned is what we're focusing on. And in this case, we can see all of the assemblies that make up this product. So we have our top level device, which we're going to look at in a second. We have our finished good with the bill of material and the approved manufacturers and all the costing information. We have all the top sub-assemblies like printed circuit boards and other sub-assemblies. Here we can see all of the changes that have been written against all of this information and the status of those. So we have 1 open ACO, we have 6 that have been completed. Over here, we have a couple of projects. So we have an excellent project management capabilities to track things by stages and activities with milestones. As we scroll down, we can see cases that have been coming in from our customers. And so, directly in Salesforce Service Cloud, these cases can be logged, and we're combining that information directly with the product information in Propel. Down here, we have the instructions for use that Chuck mentioned that we do a great job of managing. And so This product is available in multiple countries and different languages. So we have a document for each one of these that is managed in the system. And then down here we have all of the documents that are a part of this product, including artwork, legal, labels, procedures, etc. If I wanted to review one of these instructions for use, like the Spanish one, I can drill directly in from this dashboard. And what you'll see here is we have access to the complete revision history of this document. So it's currently at Rev B, and it took me directly to Rev B. I can see what category this is, when it was released, what product line it's a part of, who's the author and who's the owner. So we're tracking all the attributes. On the attachments tab, we track the actual file. So you'll see we have the native files for people to make changes to, and we have a PDF file, which is what we might give most users access to. In Propel, it's very easy to just look at that information. I don't have to download it to take a look at it. So here's the Spanish version of this instruction for use. I can see where it's used. So it's used in our device master record, and I have access to the complete change log. So DCO 49 released it to Rev A, DCO 50 released it to Rev B. And then one of the really nice features of our solution is we can dynamically compare any revision of an item against any other revision. And we can see that the owner changed, in this case, when it went from Rev A to Rev B, and all of the attachments also changed. And so now we want to take a look at the product. So I can navigate directly from this instruction for use to the device master record. And so you'll see the tabs across the top have changed as well. So first of all, we have the details that describe this. So this is a sellable item. You'll see there's actually a draft revision that's being worked on. In this case, we're making some changes as a result of all the quality issues that have been logged against this. So it's doing the compare for me automatically against the latest release revision, which is A. And so you'll see we're changing the life cycle of this. And then if I come to the device master DMR tab, this is basically a bill of documents, and so we're seeing all the different categories of documents that make up this device master record. We have our finished good product, which we'll take a look at in a minute. We have 2 instructions for uses. So we have the Spanish one that we just looked at. We also have an English IFU. We have procedures, packaging, label, all this information that makes up this device master record. These blue dots allow me to look at information without navigating away. So if I want to look at our finished good, if I had an engineering drawing here, in this case, I have a schematic, I can hover over it and take a look at it. If I want to look at the instruction for use that we looked at earlier, I can hover over it and take a look at it directly from the bill of materials tab. I also can see, in this case, the manufacturers. So this bag is purchased from Acme, and there's their part number. And I can see all of the quality issues that are logged against specific components that make up this product. So we have a bunch of complaints. We have some non-conformances as well against this product. Let's drill into the finished good. So one thing we can do is open other tabs as well. So you can have multiple tabs open, which allows you to be more efficient. So we just navigated from the device master record down to the finished good product. And here we have, the complete bill of material for this. Once again, all the categories. And here's our part that has all of the quality processes logged against it, this Danco nozzle, right? So we can see all the complaints and non-conformances and a CAPA that's been initiated as well. Here is Danco, the manufacturer we looked at earlier, right? And then here I can actually take a look at, what this part that has the issues currently looks like. So kind of to look at the end result before we go back and look at all of the quality processes. So the change is already in flight here. So once again, we have a draft revision to go ahead and replace that component. And we'll see that here. So we've found a suitable replacement. in this Aerotron nozzle. We're also going to replace the motherboard. And this new Aerotron nozzle is actually multi-sourced, so I can buy it from multiple vendors. And then we're gonna, one other thing to highlight here is that we have this bomb navigator, which is an excellent feature allowing me to do in context investigation and work. And so this is showing me the bill of material for our Phoenix 3000. There's a report that's available here that shows me how many items are in each level of the bill of material. It lets me dynamically expand it out to any level, or I can pick any component and see information about that. So in this case, we want to focus on this Aerotron component that we found to replace the one that has all the issues. So you'll see it's giving me details about it. Here I can see, you know, the manufacturers we can buy this from. So we can buy it from these two distributors or directly from Aerotron. And we're tracking also costing information. So we can see that, you know, the prices are dropping for this component. This navigator also works if I'm looking at, you know, if I go back to the latest revision. And so in this case, if I go look at the Danco part that we're replacing, right, it's only available directly from the manufacturer, and the cost is steeply rising. It's gone from $11 to $24, right? And this part is used in other products as well. And so this faulty nozzle is not only used in our Phoenix 3000, but also in the Sedona 2100 and the Tucson 1500. So this quick impact analysis lets me know that I should replace that nozzle across all these product lines. And then this nozzle has all of these, you know, quality processes logged against it. So I can drill directly into, for example, this non-conformance. And so what we're seeing now is, you know, we see the state and the workflow that this non-conformance is in. We see the description of the non-conformance. So it's an issue against this Danco nozzle. On the affected items tab, we see that this issue was originally logged against our top level product, the Phoenix 3000. And as we started doing investigation, we added this Danco nozzle. And as a quality person, as I'm reviewing or working on this non-conformance, I have access to all the information again. So I have access to look at, you know, the drawings or the schematics of our top level product. I have access to the drawings or schematics of this faulty nozzle. And I have access to take a look at everywhere that this nozzle is used. So I can see that it does affect multiple products, these three products. I can see that this nozzle has a history of a bunch of quality issues. And I can see that they're all coming from this supplier, this Danco supplier. And as I'm walking this through the workflow, right, different approvers are getting assigned so that people can sign off on this and we can close the loop out. So in this case, this is pretty severe. And so a corrective action, a CAPA, was initiated to address this nonconformance. And we'll briefly take a look at this corrective action and then how this flowed into a change order so we can close out this demonstration. But the corrective action has its own workflow. You know, we're capturing all the rich information like risk, what team members need to be involved, what departments are involved, information about the investigation, right? Information about the plan and the implementation. On the affected items tab, because we had access to that where used capability, we were able to add not only the Phoenix 3000, but the other products that are affected, the Sedona and the Tucson 1500. And you'll see here that we also have a sterilization procedure and a manufacturing assembly procedure that are affected. Once again, we have access to take a look at that directly from the CAPA. The CAPA can end up with findings. So in this case, there are a couple of findings as a result of this CAPA. So 15% of the nozzles have been returned, right? Product safety issues could result. We can have sub-plans in order to farm out the work. And then in this case, this CAPA is actually addressing all of the quality issues against that nozzle. So it's going to address a bunch of complaints, all the non-conformances. We're auditing the supplier, and we spawned this change order, right? Where we're actually going to complete the process, make the changes where we replace that nozzle with the new nozzle and revision our product, right? And so once again, everything is connected. So here's our finished good we were looking at. It's on the change order. If we take a look at the bill of material, we can see the changes that we've made to go ahead and address these quality issues. And we're basically we're replacing that faulty nozzle with the new nozzle. All right, I think we're going to end the demonstration here. And just to highlight, we showed a lot of things, right? We showed our dashboarding capabilities, how easy it was to find things, training. We reviewed, the product and how we manage the complete history of the product. We reviewed how we can track quality against the product and how we can do root cause analysis and how we can close that out through a change process to revision the product. Thank you.
Thanks, Lance. That was great. Great overview of some of the topics that we've been talking about. People have been able to see and look at the interaction and the vast capabilities that Propel offers, in particular to the MedTech industry and environment. So I want to thank Chuck Sarin and Lance for their time from Propel. It's been a wonderful opportunity to chat with them and to bring about this webinar for you. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact from the information page on the website that will be provided to contact us to have any further conversations. Again, thanks again, Chuck and Lance, and to everybody else, have a great day.
Thank you.